Hi friends, welcome to my channel Happiness as a Choice, which deals with stress management. Today I'll be sharing with you all the process of timeline therapy in dealing with a child's negative emotions. As the parents are really facing lot of trouble and difficulties in dealing with the child's negative emotions, and to know the cause of the child um, not opening up his or problem with the parents, we should really be very grateful to this therapy which helps us to get rid of our negative emotions. So I'll be discussing with you all about timeline therapy. As I discussed in my previous video about what is a timeline, today I'll be discussing with you all how we run the process on a child or a client to deal with the negative emotions. So first, let me tell you what we do. We have to first build rapport with the child and make him conscious about his timeline. We will be asking him to see the past, see the event in the past when the event took place, which caused that feeling of pain or the negative emotions in his life. So what we do now, we bring the child to stand on his timeline and ask him where he is seeing his timeline, whether it is from left to right or it is from behind to front, so that the child starts getting acquainted with his timeline. Many times we make him stand on the timeline and make him to learn to float above the timeline and see the event when it took place, and again bring him on the timeline and ask him what he's learning from that. So like this, what happens, we keep on making the child acquainted with the timeline. So now the process starts like this. What you do, we make the child to stand on the timeline and tell him or ask him to see the event that took place in the past. Now slowly we will ask the child to float above the timeline and see the event, how and when it took place. What we do, first of all, we ask the child to float slowly above the timeline and move towards the event in the past. While doing so, we will ask the child to remain above and before the event and look at the event when it took place, and ask the child what are the resources if he would have had at that time, so that he could have dealt with that event easily. Now the child starts learning that resources or what qualities he would have had at that time and got one resources. Now we'll ask the child again to float above and find out his position of agony. Now the position of agony is marked position wise, like from 1 to 10. So if the child will say now his feeling of that agony or that emotion is position at 7. So because he already got one resources, so little bit agony has decreased. So the position is at at 7. So now what happens? Now we'll ask the child, take the resource, that resource or quality which you have now, and go to the event and see the event floating on the timeline just above the event. Now the child will learn another positive learning or any other, you could have now found out another resources for him. With that he could have dealt with the event easily. Now we'll ask the child, where is your position of agony from 1 to 10? Now he may say 4 or 5 because he's getting another resources, so that the feeling of agony decreases. So now that we will tell him, store the resources, second resources which you got with you, keep it with you and take the resource and go to the position just before the event took place. Now look above keep on floating above the timeline and go to the position just before the event, remaining above the timeline, just go to the position before the event took place. So now what you are thinking, or what other resources you could have had at that time to deal with the event easily. Now the child again tells another resources he could have had at that time. So now you got three resources. So we can ask the child now, if you had all three resources with you, feel the agony. Where are you now from 1 to 10? The child may say, I'm at 1, because it's keeping on decreasing. As he's getting more resources to handle the event, he is becoming more resourceful and his position of agony is decreasing. Now we'll ask the child, take all the resources, what you have with you, and come to your present and see how you are going to deal with your how could you have dealt better with the event. Now take all the resources with you and go to the event floating above your timeline and find out if anything else was required for you to deal with the situation. Now the child learns another resources, so he is becoming more resourceful and he could deal with the event more easily. Now we'll ask the child, come back, float and come back to the present timeline and land on your timeline and think, where are you now? Where is your position of agony? Then he says it is at 1. Now again we will ask the child, go to the event, go to the position before the event when the event did not take place with you and think what resources could have been more with you to deal with the situations. And again there's a new learning for him and he gets another resources. So with all these 4 resources, ask him, where is the position of agony from 1 to 10? He will say from 1 to 10 he will say that it's at 0. So what happens now, he's become resourceful, and when you tell him to take the resource and go before the event, what is the agony? He says 0. Go to the place of the event, he will say the position of agony is 0. Before 0, after the event took place, the position is 0, and tell him to come back and land on the timeline. Now we can ask the child, take all the resources and tell, if this kind of things happened in your future, how you are going to handle with all these resources. The child then will definitely say that as he has all these resources, as he have learned everything how to deal with the situations, then he can deal with the future event or similar future event very nicely. So that is how a timeline therapy helps. It takes us to our past, helps us to learn, and we can use that positive learning to deal with our future similar events or situations in our life. That is how we can be very happy in dealing with our negative emotions, or we can just come out of our negative emotions and make our life better. That is how we can, as parents, if we learn the timeline therapy and helps a child to deal with the negative emotions, it works really wonder for the child and he becomes very free and open to share everything with the parents. Thank you for watching my video and stay connected to know more tips about positive parenting. Thank you.
आपको मेरा वीडियो अच्छा लगा तो लाइक कीजिए, मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए, पास में बेल आइकन ज़रूर दबाइए ताकि हर एक वीडियोस का नोटिफिकेशन आपको मिलता रहेगा। फैमिली फ्रेंड्स लोगों के साथ शेयर करना मत भूलिए मेरे दोस्त।